There are moments in life when we meet someone and feel that the encounter was never an accident. It is as if the soul whispers, "I have known you before." We cannot explain it through reason, nor reduce it to chance. Something stirs beneath the surface, a recognition deeper than the mind, a signal rising from the unconscious that this connection is different. It is in these moments that the soul leans forward, alert, sensing the possibility of true love, not as a fleeting desire, but as a force destined to awaken what has long been sleeping within us. When we speak of true love, it is often imagined as a conscious decision, a rational choice based on compatibility, shared values, or circumstances that align neatly. Yet beneath the surface of thought lies a deeper realm, one that does not follow the logic of reason but the mysterious pull of the unconscious. It is here where the recognition of true love first takes shape, long before the mind can fully explain it. The soul does not require evidence or lists of qualities. It responds instinctively, as though it has been waiting for this encounter all along. This is why the first spark of true love feels so inexplicable, a recognition that is not taught or reasoned, but arises as if from another dimension of the self. The unconscious attraction reveals itself in subtle ways. A glance that lingers longer than it should, a tone of voice that carries a resonance we cannot ignore, the way someone's presence stirs emotions we did not know were dormant. These are not accidents. They are signals from the hidden layers of our being, where archetypal patterns reside and silently guide us. In such moments, one may feel drawn without understanding why, compelled by something that escapes language. The outer world may appear ordinary, yet inwardly the encounter feels extraordinary, as though something ancient has been awakened. This attraction is not merely physical, though it may carry a strong physical charge. It is something far deeper, a magnetism that speaks to the unfinished parts of the soul. Each individual carries within them hidden aspects of themselves, qualities suppressed, disowned, or simply unknown. The unconscious recognizes in another person the shape of these missing fragments, and in doing so, it pulls us toward them with a force that can feel fated. It is less about desire and more about recognition, less about wanting and more about remembering. The person encountered becomes a mirror that reflects back what was once hidden, and in this reflection the soul feels a surge of familiarity and significance. One of the most striking features of unconscious attraction is that it often overrides the reasoning mind. Logic may argue against it, practical considerations may warn us away, and yet the pull remains undeniable. This is because the unconscious does not operate in the language of logic but in symbols, emotions, and instinctive certainties. To the unconscious, the meeting with another soul is not about convenience but about destiny. The heart may race, the mind may resist, but the deeper psyche has already recognized something essential. It is this inner certainty that gives the experience of true love its intensity, for it does not feel like a decision, but like a revelation. Such recognition can be both thrilling and unsettling. To meet someone who awakens the unconscious is to be confronted with parts of ourselves we may not yet be ready to face. Attraction then becomes a double-edged gift. It draws us closer, but also demands transformation. The unconscious knows what we need for growth, even if it is uncomfortable, and true love often carries that demand hidden within its embrace. It is not the safe or predictable path, but the one that shakes us awake, reminding us that love is not simply an emotion but a summons from the depths of being. This is why the recognition of true love feels so distinct from infatuation or fleeting passion. It is not a surface spark but a profound resonance, as if two currents of energy that have long been separate finally meet. In that meeting, one feels both a loss of control and a sense of inevitability. The unconscious attraction does not ask for permission. It asserts itself with quiet authority, pulling the soul into an experience that feels larger than life, larger than the individual self. It is in these moments that we realize true love is not discovered by searching outward, but by listening inward, for the unconscious has always been guiding us to the one who can awaken what we secretly carry within. When two people meet and a bond of true love begins to form, there is a sense that goes beyond physical attraction or intellectual alignment. It is the feeling of encountering a mirror, one that does not simply show us what we already know, but reveals aspects of our soul that have been hidden, repressed, or forgotten. This is not a mirror in the ordinary sense, for it reflects not just appearances, but the very essence of the inner self. The recognition of true love often begins with this mysterious mirroring, where the presence of another illuminates corners of our being that we had long ignored. It is not simply that we like them or feel understood, it is that, in their gaze, in their words, in their very being, we suddenly glimpse ourselves with startling clarity. The soul responds to this mirroring because deep down it longs for wholeness. Every human being carries within a vast landscape of qualities, both light and shadow, both conscious and unconscious. Yet most of life is lived in partiality, showing the world certain faces while burying others. When someone enters our life who unconsciously embodies those buried parts, we feel a magnetic pull. They awaken something in us we did not realize was waiting to be awakened. Sometimes they mirror our strengths, encouraging us to step into the fullness of our own power. Other times, more unsettlingly, they mirror our weaknesses, fears, and unresolved wounds, forcing us to confront what we would rather keep hidden. In either case, the recognition is undeniable. They are not just another person, but someone, through whom the soul sees itself. This is why true love often feels paradoxical. On one hand, there is immense comfort, as if being with the other person restores a missing piece of oneself. On the other hand, there is discomfort, because the reflection is not always flattering. Love becomes the stage where we are revealed, stripped of illusions, unable to hide behind the masks we show to the world. In this sense, true love is not merely about harmony, but about authenticity. The soul is less interested in superficial peace than in awakening to its full depth, and the person who mirrors us has the power to draw that depth into the light. The experience of seeing oneself in another is accompanied by an uncanny familiarity. It can feel as if we have known this person before, as if the bond stretches back beyond memory. This sense of déjà vu arises because the soul recognizes its own reflection, and recognition always feels like remembering. We may say that we just click with someone, but beneath that phrase lies a profound truth. The unconscious knows before the conscious mind can articulate. The mirror does not lie, and when the soul sees itself, it knows instinctively that something significant has occurred. Yet this recognition is not without consequence. To be mirrored is to be called to growth. If we choose to ignore the reflection, we miss the opportunity to become more whole. But if we accept it, even when it is uncomfortable, true love becomes a powerful force of transformation. The other person ceases to be just a partner. They become a guide, a catalyst, a living reminder of who we truly are and who we are capable of becoming. This is why relationships rooted in true love often feel larger than personal desire. They carry the weight of destiny, as though the soul itself has orchestrated the meeting to ensure that what is hidden will finally come to light. The mirror of the soul is not always gentle, but it is always true. To meet the one who reflects us is to be given the chance to step into authenticity, to embrace both the radiance and the shadows that define our being. In this way, true love is less about finding another to complete us and more about awakening to the completeness already within, revealed only through the reflection we could never summon on our own. There are moments in life when meeting someone feels less like an introduction and more like a remembrance. It carries with it a strange familiarity, as though the soul is reuniting with something it has always known. This is one of the deepest signs of true love, for when the unconscious recognizes a bond, it does not experience it as something entirely new. Instead, it feels timeless, echoing across the present moment with the weight of eternity. This sense of familiarity transcends logic. It is not about shared history, common background, or ordinary likeness. It is a recognition that arises from somewhere far beneath conscious awareness, as if two inner worlds have already been intertwined long before they appeared together in this life. This experience can manifest in subtle ways. One may look into the eyes of another and feel an unexplainable comfort, as though they have been here before. Conversation flows with ease, laughter erupts without effort, and silences carry no awkwardness, but rather a soothing peace. The rhythm between two souls feels natural, unforced, almost predestined. Even in the earliest stages of connection, there can be a sense that the relationship has roots deeper than what the surface of time can account for. It feels as though the soul has recognized an old companion, someone who awakens a memory too deep for words. The reason such recognition feels timeless is because the unconscious does not measure in hours or years. It carries within it the vast storehouse of human experience, archetypal patterns, and symbolic truths that exist beyond linear time. When two souls meet in true love, the unconscious resonates with these patterns, and the bond is felt as destiny. This is why people often say, "It feels like I've known them forever." The mind, bound to chronology, cannot explain it, but the psyche responds as if an ancient truth has been unveiled. This timeless familiarity reminds us that love is not simply a matter of chance, but an unfolding of deeper currents, orchestrated by something greater than personal will. In this kind of love, ordinary time loses its grip. Hours spent together pass unnoticed, while moments apart may feel unusually heavy, as though something essential is missing. Distance cannot diminish the connection, for the soul carries the presence of the other even when they are not near. It is not about constant communication or physical closeness. It is about the enduring resonance that continues to live within. This is why such bonds often endure trials and separations. The familiarity is so profound that it resists the erosion of time, returning again and again like a melody that cannot be forgotten. This sense of timeless recognition also awakens a profound trust. One feels safe, even vulnerable, in the presence of the other, as though the soul knows it is finally home. There is no need to impress or perform, for the recognition runs deeper than appearances. The other does not feel like a stranger, but like a missing piece, a mirror of something inwardly essential. Even flaws and imperfections become part of the familiarity, accepted with a grace that would be impossible if the connection were merely surface attraction. The unconscious whispers that this is not random, and the heart listens, resting in the certainty of recognition. Yet such familiarity also carries a demand. To feel that a bond is timeless is to accept that it is significant, that it will shape and transform the path of one's life. True love does not arrive without responsibility, for it requires us to honor what the soul has revealed. The familiarity is not simply for comfort. It is also a reminder that this connection carries purpose, that it is meant to awaken something dormant within. The soul does not bring forth such recognition lightly. It places before us the one who makes us remember, not merely who they are, but who we are and who we are becoming. In this way, the timeless familiarity of true love is both gift and calling. It soothes with its sense of homecoming, yet it also compels us to embrace the transformation it brings. When the unconscious recognizes a love as eternal, the experience cannot be dismissed or reduced to chance. It is the soul's way of saying that what has been divided has now come together again, and in that reunion, something larger than ourselves begins to unfold. When the soul encounters true love, it does not merely register it with quiet recognition, it responds with an intensity that cannot be ignored. This intensity is not always gentle or serene, but rather a deep emotional resonance that shakes the foundations of the self. It is as though two inner worlds collide, creating waves that move through both joy and unease, comfort and disruption. The resonance of true love carries a force beyond the ordinary because it arises not from superficial attraction, but from the unconscious depths where the most powerful energies of the human psyche dwell. When these energies are stirred, the result is a vibration that alters everything it touches, leaving one unable to return to life as it was before. This resonance is often felt as a paradox. On one hand, it brings a sense of profound peace, a feeling of having arrived at a place the soul has always longed for. Being with the other feels like stepping into alignment with something larger than oneself, as if life has revealed its secret harmony. Yet alongside this peace there is often chaos, an agitation that comes from being forced to confront emotions long buried. True love does not only soothe, it awakens, and awakening is rarely without disturbance. The unconscious seizes the opportunity to rise, bringing to the surface desires, wounds, and fears that may have been dormant for years. Love in this sense becomes both sanctuary and storm, carrying the dual power to heal and to unsettle. The resonance of true love cannot be faked or manufactured, for it is not born of conscious will. One may attempt to reason it away, to reduce it to coincidence, to question its validity, but the body and soul know otherwise. The heart beats differently. Time feels altered. The presence of the other lingers even in their absence. This is the kind of connection that makes ordinary relationships pale in comparison, not because they are lesser, but because they do not reach the same depth. The unconscious demands to be felt, and through true love it expresses itself with undeniable force, often leaving the individual both exhilarated and bewildered. Such emotional resonance is transformative because it refuses to allow stagnation. The feelings stirred are too powerful to ignore, and they compel one toward growth. One may discover hidden strength, unacknowledged tenderness, or long-suppressed vulnerability. At the same time, one may also confront jealousy, fear of loss, or the pain of unhealed wounds. True love mirrors the fullness of the soul, and with that reflection comes both light and shadow. The intensity of emotion serves as the medium through which the unconscious demands integration. It is not enough to simply enjoy the bliss. The soul calls for wholeness, and wholeness requires facing what we have avoided. This is why true love can feel overwhelming. It is not a simple addition to life, but a force that reshapes it. One might find themselves writing words they never thought they could write, speaking truths they never thought they could speak, or feeling depths of joy and despair that reveal new layers of being. Such extremes are not signs of imbalance, but of resonance. When two souls strike the same hidden chord, the resulting vibration moves through every part of life, forcing a new rhythm to emerge. It is less like adding a song to the background and more like discovering that one has been living half asleep until the music of the other awakened them. Emotional resonance in true love also reveals itself through silence. It is not only in words or dramatic expressions that the depth is known, but in the unspoken connection that lingers between two people. A glance can carry volumes. A shared silence can feel louder than conversation. The resonance is so deep that it does not need constant affirmation. It exists as a steady current beneath all interactions. This undercurrent, invisible yet undeniable, assures the soul that the connection is real, that it is more than surface infatuation. To feel such resonance is to be reminded of the soul's capacity for depth. It is proof that love is not merely a social contract or fleeting desire, but a summons to transformation. The unconscious calls forth emotions of such magnitude not to overwhelm us without reason, but to push us into greater wholeness. True love does not leave us as we were. It stirs us into becoming more than we imagined possible. Through its resonance, we are asked not only to love another, but to awaken to the vast and uncharted territories within ourselves. True love is never only about the sweetness of union. It is also about the inner journey it demands. When the soul recognizes its counterpart, the encounter does not end with comfort or pleasure. Instead, it sets in motion a process of growth and awakening that reshapes the individual from within. Love becomes a mirror and a catalyst, pushing one to confront what has been dormant and to rise into a fuller, more authentic self. The unconscious does not bring such connections by accident. It knows that in meeting the one who awakens us, we are being called toward transformation. This is why true love often feels larger than the relationship itself, as if it carries a purpose that transcends personal desire. The awakening begins in the smallest moments. A word from the beloved may pierce deeper than criticism from anyone else, because it touches a hidden wound. A gesture of care may move us to tears, revealing just how starved we were for tenderness. Their presence draws out qualities we never imagined we possessed: patience, courage, vulnerability, or even creativity. These shifts are not surface adjustments, but deep stirrings of the soul, for the unconscious seizes the encounter as a chance to bring forward what was previously suppressed. Love becomes a teacher, not through abstract lessons, but through the very living of the bond. Growth through true love is rarely easy. It often requires us to face the parts of ourselves we would rather deny. We may become aware of jealousy, fear of abandonment, or the tendency to control. At first, these revelations may feel like obstacles, but they are in fact invitations. The beloved awakens them not to harm us, but to reveal where the soul seeks healing. Without this awakening, these wounds might remain buried, silently shaping our lives from the shadows. With it, they rise into awareness, where they can finally be transformed. Love, in this sense, is both gentle and fierce. It soothes while it also demands that nothing false remain hidden. This transformative quality is what separates true love from mere attraction. Ordinary connections may bring comfort or pleasure, but they rarely demand the recreation of the self. True love, however, insists upon authenticity. It strips away masks and illusions, leaving us face to face with who we are and who we are meant to become. The unconscious guides us toward the one who can awaken this process because it seeks wholeness, not half-living. The beloved is not simply a partner, but a mirror of destiny, carrying within them the keys to aspects of ourselves we have long forgotten. Over time, the growth born of true love reshapes every dimension of life. Choices once made out of fear begin to shift toward courage. Old patterns of avoidance give way to deeper honesty. Even the way we perceive the world changes, for when the heart is awakened, it sees with new clarity. What once seemed insignificant gains meaning, and what once seemed unbearable becomes a path of learning. The beloved, whether consciously or not, becomes the vessel through which the unconscious teaches us to live more fully. Yet this awakening is not meant to bind us in dependency. On the contrary, true love strengthens individuality even as it deepens union. It calls each person to grow into their own wholeness so that the bond is not built on need but on shared becoming. In this way, love does not diminish freedom but expands it, showing that real intimacy is not the loss of the self but its flowering. two souls who awaken each other become not less but more, not confined but liberated. The soul recognizes true love because it knows it is the path toward its own completion. The unconscious leads us to the one who ignites this process, not to provide easy happiness, but to awaken us to our deeper potential. Growth and awakening are not side effects of true love. They are its very essence. To love truly is to step into transformation, to allow oneself to be reshaped, and to emerge more whole than before. True love is not a mere coincidence nor a pleasant chapter in life's story. It is a profound recognition that arises from the depths of the unconscious, drawing us toward the one who awakens us, mirrors us, and calls us into wholeness. The signs are subtle, yet unmistakable. The unconscious attraction that feels inevitable, the reflection of our hidden self in another, the timeless familiarity that defies reason, the emotional resonance that stirs both peace and chaos, and the call to growth that transforms us at the core. These are not random experiences, but the language of the soul, guiding us toward what is essential. To encounter true love is to be reminded that life is not only about survival or comfort, but about awakening to the fullness of being. It is the soul's way of saying, here, in this connection, lies the possibility of becoming more than you imagined, of discovering the path that leads not just to another person, but to the deeper truth of yourself.